Okay, people, I got it together. I got it together. Sorry, my iPhone be tripping. I think they want me to get a new
Hey, hey,
iPhone.
hey.
Hello, hello, hello. My iPhone was just over here bugging. I felt like I was a 90-year-old woman, couldn't figure out my phone.
I'm
Good
telling you, look, it's
evening.
a new
Good
feature with
evening. How's
IG,
everybody doing
and
today?
I feel like they're out here trying to make us get these new upgrades.
Yeah, I don't
Yes,
like it.
you have to get the upgrade.
We have
No,
to.
You
Are you
have
no.
promoting
to.
for them?
I know, right?
Let us find out they're sponsoring this live.
Hello, let's speak into existence. Well, good
Right, right.
evening, good evening. We could get started. I see a couple of hello,
Yes. Well,
everyone.
hello, everyone. Welcome to Talk Therapy Thursday. I am Dr. Hill, and I'm here with my amazing, fabulous business partner, Dr. Jones.
Hey,
Yes. So before we get started, we got to give the disclaimer. This is not therapy. We are just
absolutely.
two licensed professional therapists that have these topics to give suggestions, tips, but in no way is this therapy. If you are interested in therapy, please email us at info@stepscounselingconsulting.com.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
welcome. So let's get started. Our topic tonight is Black men in education. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Jones to introduce our wonderful guest.
Well, I'm excited to introduce this
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like all over. But when you say Black men in education, how can you not say Dr. Blake? Okay. And I want to point out to the folks who joined as I was preparing for this, I thought about it. I met Dr. Blake at Morgan getting my bachelor's, and I met
Yes,
Dr.
HBCU.
Yes, and I met Dr. Hill getting my master's. So look what
Yes.
education bring together. Okay,
Yes.
that out here that I love that us people are doing things together and working for the people, and I love it. Yes, yes, yes. But
Yes.
this is Dr. William.
Hi,
Blake.
hype him up, Jay. Hype him up, Dr. Jones. Yes.
And I mean, the reason why I say he's like the one in education because he done plays so many roles. So before we get started, can you just put out there for the people the different roles you had in education, and we just want to get straight in there. I just want them to know that you've been in so many different hats. You wore so many different hats. So I think you could answer a lot of different questions, and that's why I think it's important to mention the roles that you have been in and currently.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Dr. Jones and Dr. Hill, thank you for this opportunity tonight. I'm excited to be in this space. I'm excited to engage, interact, and hopefully have an impact for this experience that we want to have on this evening. My name is Dr. William Blake, and over the past 17 years, believe it or not, 17, no, I take that back, 16 years. I've been in this game 16 years. I've been
Yes.
a classroom teacher on the high school level. I've been an assistant principal on the high school level. I've been a principal on the middle school level and on the high school level. Had the opportunity to serve in central office as the director of social emotional learning for an amazing school district, the District of Columbia Public Schools. And currently, I am serving as the assistant director of school redesign. And what that means is I have the opportunity to work with our community stakeholders to like dream big on what school should look and sound like for kids. So we are
Awesome.
doing a lot of new innovative things, such as doing a school-wide mentoring program. We are implementing new career academies. We are implementing new instructional programming in our school that really excite kids to come to school on every day to thrive not only in school but in community and in life as well.
Yes,
That's
let's
awesome.
act the whole child. Okay, let's act.
Yes.
You forgot a role. I don't think you mentioned you don't be a professor because I brag about you a little bit. You forgot about that.
Yeah. So when I'm not doing my 9 to 5, I do a couple of part-time adjunct gigs. I'm also an adjunct professor at Morgan State University, home of the Bears, Bears Flying
Awesome.
High. I'm an adjunct at Bowie State University, Towson University, and as well as I have done some work at Loyola University as well. So this teaching game, education game is something that I truly, truly love. I'm just excited that I have the opportunity to have an impact for kids on communities, and just hope that, you know, one day we could change the world one kid at a time.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's, with all those different roles, and you played many roles, as you just said, what do you think is the biggest challenge as an educator?
Right now, the biggest challenge as an educator is learning not only how to address and respond to your students' trauma that they're bringing in the classroom, but to be aware, acknowledge, and respond to your own adult trauma that you bring into the classroom. I think COVID-19, this pandemic, has shown us a lot about ourselves. And as adults and as educators, we have been trained to always put students first. We have been trained to respond to the trauma that they encounter on a daily basis. But I think this pandemic created a light that adults have trauma as well. And if you don't truly number one, if you're not aware, that's the key word, aware. You have to be aware of it, then you have to acknowledge it, then you have to address it. And I don't think that we have the tools as adults to do that for us, but somehow we have the magical power to do that for kids. So I believe that we as educators, that's a big gap in our space right now. And I just hope that, you know, organizations such as STEPS, other mental health based organizations really understand that you need to pour into the adults so that they can pour more into our kids to be successful, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We hope that we can actually fill that gap. And not only as educators, but as mental health clinicians, we experience the same thing, especially through the pandemic, especially when we didn't know what was going on, and we meeting with clients who are having panic attacks, etc., because they don't know what's going on, because they stuck in the house.
Right.
Maintaining our mental health and pour into them. So I definitely could resonate with everything you say, could relate to everything you said. It's like, because it was just a lot for us. And then, of course, our caseload became super full, because at that moment is when people started to realize, I can't do this by myself. And we have to do it too. So actually, it helped me start therapy myself, and, you know, different things. So I definitely say what you're saying. Okay, now, as a Dr. Hill, you had something to say? I'm sorry.
No, I was actually going to say that term for that is called countertransference. So there's actually a counseling term for that, where adults have to really keep in mind and be aware of what they're going through personally, and see how that can be projected onto other people. And so in counseling, we're actually not even supposed to really interact with a client if countertransference can be apparent. So when you talk about an educator, you don't really have that choice to say, well, I can't go in that classroom. You know, you really just still got to show up. So I think that was really awesome what you were saying. You got to be aware, you got to identify, and you got to do something about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So are you still figuring out, or have you figured that out for yourself?
Yeah, so I'm not on the perfect utopia yet, but I am doing the hard work around that. In one of my roles, I learned the power of social emotional learning, right? And one of the 5 core competencies of social emotional learning is self-awareness. So I have learned how to truly acknowledge like my emotions, truly reflect on like my past histories of lived experiences, to see what type of like biases does that bring up in the space for me. And I want to be able to like acknowledge and address that when I notice that the crowd that I might be interacting with might seem like impacted by that. So it's hard work, but it's something what I like to call heart work, right? We have to really do that heart work to truly unpack and to become aware of those emotions, of those traumas and things of that nature as an educator, definitely in this reality of right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you said, I love that terminology, hard work. And being a former educator, I witnessed a lot of other educators, and not to throw anyone on the bus, but it's like always them, never me, with the student. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when I was an educator, it was way before mental health became so
Mhm.
popular to address. So I can't even imagine what that looked like in the school systems now. So I know you have
Right.
hands super full on
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
But you as an educator is a lot.
Yeah.
You as a male educator is a lot. And then on top of that, you're a Black man as an educator. Do you
Mhm.
feel like that adds on additional challenges for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Because traditionally, right, as a Black male educator, a Black male educator presence has been popular for one role in the school. And that role has been to be that disciplinarian, right? That role has been that person to really like address behavior. But as a Black male educator, we have so much more to offer than that disciplinary approach, right? So it's very, very hard to step out of that stereotype if you don't do the work to increase your capacity on the other opportunities and the other lanes that education has to offer. So that's the first stigma that I see that has been very, very difficult to truly get beyond. So that's why I've done everything I can to elevate my education, to get a master's, to get a doctorate, and to pursue instructional type roles such as the assistant principalship, such as the principalship, so that I could step beyond that box of being just a disciplinarian. But secondly, just being a Black man, period, right? We have there's a certain fear about us, right? Our presence is fearful in a lot of spaces, right? So we at times we always have to kind of like demote ourselves to get on the same playing field of other people. And at times that is very hard because people, you are raised to say that you are raised by people by telling you that you should always show up as your authentic self. But as a Black man, it's hard at times to show up as my authentic self because my authentic self is wearing a hoodie and some jeans and some tennis shoes, right?
Right.
But that might be fearful to somebody that's not used to seeing a Black man in a hoodie and some jeans and some tennis shoes.
Shoes,
You know,
right.
so like it's very hard because we got to go back and forth and like code switching and like understanding, okay, which role do we have to play for this audience today?
Yeah.
Now in 2022, I show up as my Black authentic self. You get in my beard, you get in my curls, you get in my hoodie, you get
I
in
love it.
everything
Yes.
because
Yes.
I had to grow into that. But a lot of us as Black men do not know how to truly grow into that without having the fear of how you're going to be judged and how you're going to be perceived.
I love that.
Wow. Yes. You actually gave me some insight. You know, working in the school system as a school counselor, I do remember teachers saying, go and get Mr. So and so, you know, and then you see that Black educator walking around with that student all day, or they're in their classroom, or you got to go calm them down.
Yeah.
And you just really gave me insight on how, you know, that could actually be a trigger for Black educators that want to be beyond that. And I think, you know, as a woman, I don't think we really think that. I think, oh, he's a male, he's a protector, you handle this bad kid. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not a trigger for Black men, but what about a trigger for the female students who may have been molested or some type, or don't have that connection with other men? So if you think about it, as soon as they see and I experienced that, you see certain men and they start, it escalates because it's like, I don't, you know, because they prefer that nurturing side because they never had that Black man connect. That was a positive. So I didn't even think about that until you mentioned that. It could definitely be triggered for so many different parties. So I wish so many educators could be part of this, and it could be like opening the eyes to so many people and so many things. And then some people just don't want to do the disciplinarian work. I've witnessed that. And steps actually came about when Dr. Hill and I were both educators, and we used to come home and, you know, consult with one another. And I used to just see, like, just because you know your history don't make you a good history teacher, because you're lacking the relationship building skills. You're lacking the connectedness. It's like certain things. And it used to just frustrate me. And I didn't blame it all on the teachers because there's no real training in that. And don't get me wrong, frame certain things, because some people, you just got it, you got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
things could be brought to their attention, like what we just discussed, like counter transfer, like respecting people's personal space. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah.
like some people may brush past it, but no, that's not a brush past. That's like a serious conversation. But then you go into time, when can you fit? And it's a lot, but I definitely think as a group, we need to come with the game plan on how to figure it out to better help our students. Definitely.
Absolutely. I
Absolutely.
definitely agree with that.
Dr. Blake, so I know it could be frustrating as an educator and frustrated as a Black man in the world. And you mentioned self-awareness. What else do you do, or do you do anything else to maintain a healthy mental health? Or do you feel like you still need work to do? Or like, where is your mental health now, and how would you describe
Yeah,
that?
yeah. Well, like Dr. Jones, you know me very well. Um, in this work that we do, like I go all in 24/7, right? And I just pour every ounce that I have into like the field, because I feel like the field needs us. Like the field needs committed Black men that want to truly change the narrative of how we should be perceived, not only in schools but in communities as well. But when I think about my own mental health and the things that I truly appreciate, first and foremost, I have become very intentional to create family time for my family, right? Just to give you all some context, I live in a house with all women, my wife and 2 girls, right? And at times, like, they are my peace, because there's so much rage outside of the doors of our home that I have to like decide, okay, I'm in lane A for 30 seconds. Now I got to go to lane B. Now I got to go to lane 4, right? So the first piece is when I come home, just giving my wife and my girls just the love, right? Because I pour out so much love to other folks. I want to make sure that I'm pouring in love to them. And the love that they give back to me gives me the peace that I need to keep going, right? The second piece is I exercise very regularly, right? If I do not go to the gym at least 2 to 3 days a week, you will see the change in my demeanor, and you will see the change in my attitude. And I definitely believe in social engagement. I have a lot of vices, and I make sure that I engage in the vices that I need, because like that pours into me. I have time to reflect. I have time to unwind. I have time to be my authentic self. And it truly allows me to get back into the game, put the game face on, and do what I have to do for kids, do what I have to do for adults, and do what I have to do for community. So, and I will say this: it took me a while to get there, because Dr. Jones, when you and I were working together, we were at work at 7 a.m., leaving work at 8 p.m., up doing grad school work to 10 p.m., and back at work at 7 a.m. Where was the break in that, right? But we were just full off of energy, full off of life. We didn't realize when you go that hard for 10 plus years, every day, it does start to tear at you. And the pandemic slowed me down. The pandemic slowed me down. The fact that
Yes, it did.
the fact that I had to stay in the house with my family,
right.
that was very hard, right? I don't think the world was designed for you to be with your family 24/7. You feel me? But it truly gave me opportunity to reflect, to appreciate, and also have gratitude. And now I try to be very, very intentional about that at all times.
That release and recharge.
It's necessary, and I'm happy that self-care is a topic along with mental health. Like, I think we take self-care for granted, and I mean, sometimes I have to catch myself, because I'm a hustler. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do that. And then sometimes it's like you have to practice what you preach. So I'm telling my clients here, and then some people think self-care is like a vacation. I'm always down for a vacation, but sometimes you just need that walk around the block, that 5-minute breather, going to get my pedicure and nails done, and not answering my phone during that moment. Like, those little things matter. And even when you're working in education, sometimes you do not see the building. You had to hope that your classroom windows or something, because you're like stuck. And sometimes I just always encourage, if possible, which is sometimes rare, if you have to go sit in your car for 10 minutes, that couldn't help. But sometimes you can't. You know what I mean?
Right.
That on the day, Dr. Blake.
Say it
If
again.
how do you balance that during the day, not getting out? If you can,
Yeah,
courage, like to go sit in your car or something. But if you can't,
yeah,
balance that because that could
yeah,
become overwhelming.
absolutely. So in my role now, I I'm very intentional in developing like relationships with my colleagues, developing relationships with my coworkers, and one coworker specifically has become my accountability partner, right? And as my accountability partner, she makes sure that every day I have at least 15 minutes, although it sounds very little, but I have at least 15 minutes to myself every day. And I could do whatever I want in that 15 minutes, whether it's lunch, whether it's just to be on the phone. Like she makes sure that I break down and for 15 minutes throughout the day that I definitely do something just for me, right? I gotta go in my office, I gotta close my door, and I can't let nobody bother me for 15 minutes. And like my accountability partner who does that for me, I truly see the difference. Like I use that 15 minutes every day to recharge. I use that 15 minutes every day, either like to probably call my wife or send a crazy message to my kids. Like that 15 minutes right there, it truly, truly allows me to recharge. And I'm so appreciative that I have somebody as an accountability partner at work that truly has given me that strategy to do during the school day. Because those of us that have been in schools, you are running for 8 to 9 hours straight, right?
Yes.
Dealing with everything else, pouring out fires. But you'll be surprised, just 15 minutes a day. And I know it sounds like a small amount of time,
I
but
know.
that 15 minutes a day for me is very, very powerful, and I need it every day.
I love that. I love that you have an accountability partner. Is that something you
Yes.
guys promote, or is it just between your circle? Or
Yeah, we promoted within like the circle of colleagues amongst each other because we realized that like folks get burnt out, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
made a pact amongst the circle that we have is that the first rule is we won't never let nobody else steal our joy. So if we see somebody else stealing our joy, we gonna pick each other up, you know what I mean, and make sure that good. Pick your face
Yeah.
up, put your crown back on, and keep rocking. All right, did you eat lunch today? Did you get your 15 minutes today? Like it's become a normal part of our dialogue and our discourse, and it just truly changed the trajectory of your day.
Yes.
Yeah.
absolutely, and I think that helps create community and family within the your circle, and it's kind of like held each other, allow people to hold each other up, and that's where the team come in, because then you don't have times where you don't get along, but sometimes you get along because you're just in a bad space. So I think that
Mm-hmm.
Right.
helps set a positive environment. But I love that. But
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Dr. Blake, I'm sorry, Doctor, did I cut you off? You were saying something?
No, I was just agreeing. I was definitely agreeing what you guys were saying. And honestly, you saying us being aware of burnout, I really feel like you're giving a positive connotation to the word burnout. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think, before mental health became so popular, that word burnout, people weren't really saying that. You would hear high
Yeah.
turnover rate. You would hear, I'm just ready for retirement, instead of just saying, like, I'm burnt out.
Yeah.
I'm really feeling it. So I think, making that word not have that stigma behind it and doing
Yeah.
something about it.
Yeah.
And being honest and transparent.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Dr. Blake, what tips or would you give a Black man that's currently in the education field or trying to pursue the education field to maintain a positive relationship and try to avoid burnout and things of those nature?
Oh man. Do we have another hour for this, man? I could go on and on and on about this one, right? But definitely to answer that second part for Black men that are trying to pursue this field. I have the structure, not the structure, I have this acronym that I like to call like the 3 C's, right? And like any young brother that I engage with that say, yo, I want to be like you, Dr. Blake. I want to be an educator, right? I drop these 3 C's on them, right? It's not rocket science, so don't think it's like spectacular. It's very, very simple, and it's very, very basic, all right? So I don't want you to have the expectation that I'm about to drop some amazing jewels, right? But the first C is commit, right? You have to commit to this work. You have to commit to this field. Like once you get in the game, you got to commit to your kids. You got to commit to your communities. You got to commit to your parents and families. But you have to do that with some form of balance as well, right? So if you want to do this, like, it's not going to be easy, right? This education is supposed to be like a fun-filled career, and like for me it is, but there have been some very low moments that I have experienced in this game, right? Just by seeing the experiences that my kids and families have to go through, right? Like losing a kid to gun violence is hard, right? Losing a family to a house fire is hard, right? And to be there in that space, in that gap, it takes a lot out of you. But you have to commit to take up that space, and you have to commit to allow your presence to be a presence for the people that you serve, right? So I always tell them that they have to commit first. The second thing is you must get certified, right? The thing that hurts educators in general, but especially Black men, we do not get the certifications that we need to be in the spaces that we deserve to occupy, right? So I always tell them to get certified so no one could ever tell you no. No one should ever tell you you don't have the credentials, you don't have the degree, you don't have the certification to be in the space that you deserve to be in, right? So you have to go to school, you have to study those late hours, and you have to get certified, right? And that last C is you need to cultivate the space with excellence, right? You have a mission as a Black male educator to be excellent in everything that we do. And unfortunately, we can't make mistakes. Because as soon as we make a mistake, the whole social media is going to talk about us.
Yes.
Be on CNN. Y'all going to say that is the worst man in life. When we make one mistake, we could do 10 amazing things. We could do 100 amazing things. But that one mistake we make will be your downfall, right?
Yeah.
So make sure you cultivate the space with excellence. And you just always just have to be you, be true to you, and make sure that people that look like you and sound like you have an impact by you being in their space.
Yes, absolutely. Those are some heavy hitters. Talking about those are light. I don't know.
Hey, that's light work, man. This
Yeah.
little bit of jewels right there. Little light jewels
Those
for
are
you, know?
gems. That was good. Absolutely. Especially that certification part. I think a lot of people, especially, educators, Black educators, you got to have that paperwork. Paper creates more paper and more opportunities. So, yeah, that certification, that C is heavy.
Absolutely. And I see so much of Black men and Black people in general going for their doctorate. Like Blake is one of the reasons I mentioned that motivated me. Like when I got my master's, I was all excited, like, and him and my mentor, Mary, was just like, X. I was like, well, damn, I just graduated. Like, we're not going to celebrate this little master.
Right.
Like, you're not stopping, right? So I just love that people are being more motivated. Somebody said, put those 3 C's on the shirt, Blake.
Shirt, yeah.
Hey, you got it. You got it. You got it.
Yes,
you heard it first here.
Right. So Dr. Blake, so you mentioned what you can do, tips to get through and become an educator as a Black man. If they don't have accountability partner, because unfortunately, the reality is not all schools are set up for that environment yet, but schools are working on it, and I love that. What tips can you give them to avoid the burnout? Like I know you said you go home to your family.
Yeah.
Overall,
So I'm gonna give you another acronym here. So as an educator, I've been in schools, like I love acronyms. So now I'm gonna give you the 3 R's, right? Are you ready for the 3 R's? Like
ready.
It's not rocket science, but I'm gonna give you the 3 R's, right? The first R is always be in a space of reflection, right? Always be reflective of your practice, right? And when you're able to reflect, you're able to become aware of your strengths and your weaknesses and where you need to grow, right? So always try to find a space to be in like consistent and constant reflection, just so you can know how did I show up today? How did my tone sound today? When I did this gesture, like what type of impact or influence did that give off, right? So always, always, always be in a posture and in the spirit of reflection at all times. Because when you reflect, you are able to refine your practices and grow further at all times, right? The next 3 are, find some time to get some rest. Go to sleep.
Yes.
Go to sleep, right? I didn't understand the power of sleep until the pandemic because all we did was sleep, right? When I was getting 6 to 7 hours of sleep on a constant, regular basis, it changed the trajectory of my life, right? Because normally I was getting like 4.5, maybe 5 hours of sleep. but getting that 7 to 8 hours of sleep, like you are truly, truly filled and you are ready to truly, truly go forward and to be amazing. And that last piece, like once you get that rest, you are able to rejuvenate. Find a
Yes.
way to rejuvenate your mind, body, and spirit, yo. Like whatever that looks for you. Like if it's taking yourself out, if it's going, going to the gym, if it's doing a road trip, hanging out with your boys or with your girl or whomever, like find a way to rejuvenate so that you could show up as your best self every day, because people are depending on you to change their lives as a Black man in education. That's very, very a lot of weight to carry.
Yes.
That's a lot of weight to carry, and at times that weight could get very, very heavy. But if you're not in the posture of reflection and getting some rest and to rejuvenate, you're not able to like withstand that weight and to like make sure that you are chipping away at that weight to make sure that you are serving the communities that you are serving on a daily basis.
Right.
Absolutely. And it's so funny because you hear people say I sleep when I'm dead, or sleep is
Right.
Yeah, like that's old to me. Old to me, right?
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, recharging, because when you recharge, you come back, you able to come as your best self. I think when you're tired, it's impossible to come as your best self. So thank you for those acronyms, the triple C's,
Yes.
R's. You heard it here
Hey,
first.
hey, I'm gonna trademark that. All right,
You
Yeah,
better.
you need
I'm gonna
to.
trademark that.
You better.
Because those
We
are gems,
we
both
trademark
of
say
them.
yes to counseling. We taking that trademark serious.
Right.
You better.
Right. You heard someone say
Absolutely.
put it on a shirt.
Yes. So as you in the school, and I'm not talking about, because I know you're very intentional about bringing mental awareness, to schools and stuff. So not only what you're working, and I know you have colleagues all over the nation. You're great with networking. Do you feel
Yeah.
like schools are becoming more intentional about because I noticed at first it was becoming intentional about students' mental health, and then it
Yeah.
became about staff, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like schools are now becoming more intentional about staff mental health?
Well, let me tell you what we're doing at my school, right? I definitely have, since we have this space, I have to let you all know what we are doing at Anacostia High School in
Okay.
Ward 8, Southeast Washington, D.C., right? And for the
Okay.
folks on this call that's from D.C., you understand the context that I just gave you, right? So
Okay.
we are very intentional that we have created this space for our staff called A Time to Heal. Once a month,
I like that.
for a half a day, we engage in wellness activities, social emotional learning activities that are adult focused, right? So for an example, just last month, right? This was an amazing thing. Never in my life have I heard of a virtual sound bath. But this virtual sound bath, as therapists, do y'all know what that is?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Using a
So,
sound bowl.
yeah, so it's pretty much you just sit in a space and you listen to raindrops. You
Oh,
listen to bells ringing, right? And the facilitator is taking you to a place
yeah.
that it was the most amazing experience that I ever had, right? But normally, if I wasn't in my school setting, I would have frowned upon that. I'm not doing that, right? But it truly, truly was a moment of gratitude for our staff, right? So we had a virtual sound bath, right? The next thing that we had, right, we invited a celebrity chef to do a virtual cooking demonstration with us, right?
Nice.
Well,
Staff was just so excited just to do that, right? And then we turned it back around and we invited a trainer to do a virtual exercise with us, right? So once a month for A Time to Heal, there's no work, there's no meetings. We are going to do all wellness type activities.
Yes.
And it is truly pouring into the spirit at the staff of Anacostia High School, right?
Yes.
And we are noticing that we are having such a major success with that with our staff. Next year, we are planning to have a day of wellness probably each month for our students.
love it.
Nice.
Yeah. So right now we are changing the paradigm, because at first it was always like students first. And don't get me wrong. Let me be very clear. Students come first in everything that we do. But as a leader, as an educational leader, as a leader, we have to make sure that we are putting the adults first so that they can put the students first in everything that we do.
Absolutely.
Right? And I am noticing that other school districts are giving staff like a day off a month, right? They are, giving them like mental health days or like wellness days. I know my daughter's school district, they let their teachers out once a month, 2 hours early each month, right? So people are definitely, I don't want to call it the bandwagon because it shouldn't be a bandwagon, right? It should be a way of life, right? But people are getting on the mental health way of life to support the needs of not only educators, but to support the needs of our students as well. And we are just trying to work hard at it each and every day. But it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy because like you have to sell mental health to some folks. Like if I could be vulnerable right now, if I could be honest with you,
you think we don't know that?
I know that's part of the field. Like you had to sell therapy to me. Like as a Black man, therapy wasn't in my DNA. Like going to talk to somebody about my problems, about my issues, that wasn't in my DNA. That wasn't in my fabric. That wasn't in my cloth, right? So once someone sold me on the power of therapy, and they had to do a lot of selling, right? You had to sell me everything you had about it, right? And now I'm noticing that we have to do a lot of selling around the power of mental health, right? Listen, don't stay in that building all day long, sis. Go home.
Yes.
Right? For those of us that are school leaders, that are teachers, like go home because guess what? Guess what? This is a very, very hard pill to swallow. And I have seen this all too often. I have experienced this. The moment that you take your last breath, guess what? Your kids are going to show up the next day in your classroom with a new teacher.
That's right.
With a new teacher.
That's right.
I have seen that happen this year. I have seen that happen this year where, unfortunately, a colleague took her last breath inside of the classroom. On the very next day, their students was in that classroom that she took her last breath with a new teacher. That's very, very, it was very, very disheartening and unfortunate for me to hear and see that. This woman took her last breath in her classroom at 7 p.m. that night. And at 7 a.m. the next morning, students was in that same classroom with a new teacher.
Right.
Do you all see the impact of that?
Yes.
It's hard.
There was no healing for those students, right? There was no therapy for those students in that moment. The best you could have done is take those students outside of that classroom for the day. Period. I've seen it happen. Right. So we have to sell mental health to people and let them know, like your health comes first in everything that you do. So you have to take, you have to pour into yourself so that you can pour to other people's kids.
Absolutely.
And I'm sorry that I got passionate about that, but that one scenario is still messes with me.
No.
Triggering scenario, I couldn't even imagine, but unfortunately, that's the reality. Whether a school building, an office building, they're going to replace you because they have numbers that got to get met, goals that has to be met. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you mentioned something. First of all, I love that idea of wellness once a month. And yes, some jobs and schools offer a mental health day. The reason why, I mean, of course, everybody still need a mental health day, but the reason why I like that you're being intentional about the wellness day, because unfortunately, as adults, we get a mental health day and then go run errands. We actually take a mental health day. We go to the doctor, the dentist, or whatever we can't get to do on weekends because, this office is closed. And then you really don't get a break. You know what I mean? So the fact you're doing a wellness day, making them intentionally focus on mental health, I think that's an amazing thing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sometimes someone has to literally force you to sit down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that you're that and not just saying, okay, go take the day off, because people day off is not always a day off. It's a day off from work, but not their personal life. So I love that you're doing that.
Right.
Go ahead.
All right. No, and I was going to say it also gives a message to your staff, on a conscious level, they're more than just an employee. You're really looking at them as a human. And I think that definitely helps educators' morale when they know leadership is actually pouring into them. And so you mentioning that wellness day, I think it aligns to that triggering story about they'll replace you the next day. So you guys doing that, because educators have that fear. Like, why am I stressing about this job? They're gonna replace me tomorrow. Why do I
Yep.
even care? Why do I need to do this bulletin board? What's the
Yep.
point of that? They lose that morale. So I think
Yep.
implementing those wellness days, you're keeping that morale, you're keeping that mental health, but overall you're telling them, I look at you more than just an employee or an
Yeah.
ID badge.
You matter, to show them that they
Yes.
and not just give you a mug and just say
Right. And a shirt or a t-shirt.
No shade to
Yep.
anybody out there giving out mugs, but sometimes it take a little more. So
Right.
It's no secret, Dr. Blake, I knew you since you probably like 17, 18 years old. You're a whole new person, right? So you and I became educators at the age of 22. Mental health
Yes.
was a conversation. It wasn't a thought, anything.
Yeah.
What would Dr. Blake tell Mr. Blake when he first came in to this education field?
Slow down. Slow down.
Right.
Slow down. No, I say that in all sincerity. So, just to give you the trajectory, right? So, I was only in the classroom as a teacher for 1 year, right? 2 years. I was in the classroom for 2 years, right? After that, I went into administration, right? I went into administration very early. I was 25 as a vice principal, right? That was a lot. That was a lot, right? But I was just so hungry. I wanted to get it, right? I was a principal at 29, right? Got my doctorate at 29. I was just so hungry, right? I would definitely take a slower pace at this because, like I said, I have experienced moments of burnout, right? I have experienced moments of exhaustion. And it has had an impact, on my peer circle, on my family circle, and things of that nature. I would have still went for the assistant principalship, my doctorate, but I would have did it at a slower pace because I just felt, as being a Black man, I had to go and race to the top, but I had to go get it because you know what? It's not many of us up there, right? I wanted to be the one that was up there, right? And I was just like climbing. Right now, I'm kind of still climbing. But I'm taking it at a slower pace right now. And I'm enjoying the space that I'm occupying, right? I didn't have an opportunity to truly enjoy the space that I've occupied. And now that I'm able to enjoy it, I am able to see the impact that I'm having, on people, the impact that I'm having on communities, the impact that I'm having on the school leaders that I serve and the teachers that I serve and things of that nature. So I would say definitely keep going for your goals, going for your dreams, but I would take a slower pace at it because once you get to the top, right, you got to keep going to the top, right? So once you break one glass ceiling, you got to find another glass ceiling to shatter. And sometimes it's hard to find that other glass ceiling to shatter, especially as a Black man, right? Our white colleagues, our white counterparts, they could go find different glass ceilings to shatter because they are the dominant culture in society, right? But it's very hard for us at times to continue to find different glass ceilings to shatter, definitely in the space of education.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what it'd be.
Do you think slowing down would have been more healthier for your mental health?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know if y'all can see, but I got a lot of gray hair up here, right? I'm still in my 30s and I got a world full of gray hair, right? Look at my beard, I got gray hair, but it would definitely have a greater impact on my mental health. And I would have been able to truly appreciate my mental health earlier. I didn't appreciate my mental health in my 20s. In my early part of my 30s, I didn't appreciate it either, right? I didn't start appreciating mental health until it started becoming a socialized phenomenon, right? If it wasn't for the power of social media, if it wasn't for the power of people saying, you know what, you need to go talk to a therapist, you need to address your trauma, you need to do this, you do that, I wouldn't have done it because it wasn't cool, right? It wasn't cool from the communities that I was raised in, right? So just to be real, Black men do what's cool in life, right? If it's cool at the moment, that's what we're going to jump in and dive into. Just that simple,
Mhm.
right? You know, once you socialize it, and once you know it doesn't feel, oh, nah, that's actually cool to do. That's what we're going to do, you know. And a lot of
Mhm.
people won't admit that up front, but that's real.
Thank
That's
you,
real. Like once
parents.
this
Love
become
that.
a social, once you socialize it, and once it becomes, you know, and you starting to hear it in this circle, and that circle, and that circle, and that circle, you start to sit back and like, it's like a new movie that came
Mhm.
out. Hey,
Hmm.
yo, you seen that new movie on Netflix? It was all
Right.
right. All right. You saw the new movie on Netflix? It was all right. You know what? I'm gonna go home and watch that movie on Netflix.
Netflix. Yep.
You feel me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that you're transparent because you're right. A lot of people won't admit it. Some people act like they've been cared about their mental health. It's like, sir.
Right. It really for a lot of people it started at the beginning of the pandemic. And honestly, and we share that a lot, you know, in the tables that we're sitting at, and they ask about, you know, how can you frame mental health? We most of the times we tell them, we're Black women. In the Black community, mental health just became
Yeah.
popular. So we've
Yeah.
been knowing how to frame things and shape things. So this is nothing new. In fact, we're actually happy Black people are talking about mental health. Now it's
Yeah.
easier. Now we can really have those real conversations. So
Yeah.
yes, we appreciate that transparency because it's real.
Yeah.
And
It's so real. I want to get a degree. I know I got so many, but I want to get my master's degree in social work. Like,
Hey, do
seriously,
it.
right?
Yes.
Like, if I could find me a free program, I would truly go get my master's degree in social work because I am truly understanding the impact of this
Mhm.
field, of this work. It is definitely needed. And I'm noticing I'm amazed to see two Black amazing women in this field,
Thank
such as
you.
yourselves, right? And the
thank
fact that you all
Yes,
are
thank
your
you.
own entrepreneurs taking over this world, like it's not many of y'all doing this.
Mhm.
Not
thank
many of y'all
you.
doing this. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Dr. Jones, I just reached out to you. Yo, I need you. Look, make this happen so we can make that happen. Like
Right.
it's not many of us out here that could give
Right.
that culturally responsive approach, right?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? No offense to my colleagues that are a part of other races, but now in my life, a white man can't tell me how to be a dope educator.
Mhm.
A white female can't tell me how to form a relationship with this Black kid, right? I
Right.
need people that look like me and sound like me to pour into me so I can pour into the communities and the people that I serve on a daily basis.
Right.
Like that culturally relevant piece is definitely real and is needed.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's helping that more of us are in the field that they connect to because I hear,
Mhm.
I get a client like I tried with this from this race and that race and I couldn't do it. They didn't
Yeah.
understand what I meant with, I was struggling with alopecia. They didn't understand what I meant with, certain
Yeah.
Mhm.
like I get it. You know what I mean? So I love that we're
Right.
in this field and they could find someone to connect with. And the most important part, like you mentioned something, Dr. Blake, like you can't show up as yourself. And we came in as young, so we were prejudged. We went through it, but now I'm really me. And I think
Yeah.
that's what allowed me to build connections. And I think that's what allowed
Yeah.
me to build connections when I was a teacher, when I was a school
Mm-hmm.
counselor, and all these other roles. And
Mhm.
even now, like I'm me. Yes, you're going to say Dr. Jones, but Dr. Jones is Dr. Jones. We're going to have a
Right.
genuine, authentic conversation. You know what I mean?
But it took you a while to get there, right?
Absolutely.
And my only thing is I don't want that to be for the younger educators behind us, right?
Continue to be
I
the
don't want
pattern.
them to take 10 years to show up as your authentic self. Jones, do you know how many people told me to pipe down? Do you know how many people
Oh,
told me to not get the kids that excited? Do you know how many people told me, hey, yo, Dr. Blake,
you're
you need
doing
to,
too much.
you're doing too much, right? But look at the response and the reaction from the kids,
Right.
right? From the
Mhm.
kids. And there have been times where I just shut up.
We
There's
were
been times
voted
like,
what most likely to act like college. What was that? What was that? What we was voted something most likely to still act like you in college or something.
yeah,
Like I was.
we
That
were,
was a little shady.
That
yo,
we were voted.
Dr. Hill, Dr. Jones and I were talked about coming in, we fly, making this game look cool, right? Oh no, educators don't sound like this. educators don't look like this. You can't play with when Superman was out. Like we were playing Superman in a hallway, and the kids were live. And guess what? They came to class every day.
Ready
They
to
never
learn.
skipped my class.
And I'm still in contact with those kids, going to weddings, going to baby showers, and all types.
Period.
Because
My
kids sense that.
day, absolutely. And I know we have to wrap about my very first day. It was my first day. It was the first day before actually starting. I walked in the teacher's lounge and I was introduced, and I would never forget. This lady looked at me and said, "You know it's going to take more than a pretty face to get these kids under control." I would never, ever forget.
Wow.
And that teacher
Wow.
used to call me to come get certain students out her class because they only listened
Absolutely.
to me.
They needed you, right? Look at
Absolutely.
that. Look how that
Because
takes
they
time.
only listened to me. And it was another Black person, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately. But
That's another topic.
we could meet again for that one.
Right.
No, but we our people, we getting it together. I'm not here to push down our people. We getting it together. Getting it together. But before we start wrapping up and asking questions, Dr. Hill, did you have any comments for Dr. Blake before we start? People, you can start adding questions to the comment area so we can start asking questions, because we only have 9 minutes left. But Dr. Hill, do you have any questions or anything?
No, not at all. You shared some gems. I mean, you said they were light, but they was definitely heavy. I think you gave some important facts. Can you please share how people can get in touch with you? I think you give great advice, suggestion, and resources. So what is your contact information that you can share with the people in the audience?
Yeah, I'm gonna get that, but real quick, yo, like I have some former students in this space right now, and I just gotta shout them out, yo. Shout out to my man Daniel from Wise. Shout out to Bianca from Gwen Park, yo. Shout out to like all of my former educators that I used to work with. Dr. Bullock, I see you on here. Shout out to Miss Young from Anacostia on here. Like, this is why I do this work, right? Like people like Bianca, like Dr. Jones, you know Bianca. Like Bianca was like our favorite girl in the world, right? Like Daniel from Wise, went on to Morgan State, pledged Kappa Alpha Psi. Like I love y'all, man.
Oh, Erica's the AKA, by the way. Yeah, she's also a sorority. So I want you to know, y'all.
Yes.
Oh, what's up? Yeah.
Yes.
Like
HBCU Greek, yeah.
Because of Bianca, because of Daniel, like it's because of y'all we have the opportunity to be in this space, y'all. So like if y'all still on here, y'all, I see y'all just joined. Like I honor y'all, I acknowledge y'all, and I love y'all dearly, right?
And thank you for trusting us as your educator.
Yeah. But the way you can get in contact with me, like all of my social media, on Instagram, I'm Dr. Cool, DOCTOR _ cool, KOOL. On Twitter, I'm the coolest doc with a K. But I'll drop my email in here.
Yeah.
Y'all shoot me an email. Like, get at me. Like, I respond to all my emails. I do coaching and everything. So if you need that support, I'm here for you. So reach out to me at any given time. I'm here to be a service because somebody else reached back their hand to pick me up. So I'm gonna do the same for somebody else, man.
Yeah, that's how we're supposed to do it.
Resi 911 said Black educators shouldn't be the only figures they call on for discipline. Imagine what that do for some students. I love that you're changing the image. So shout outs to you for that.
Yes.
Hey, Dr. Daniel. Hey, girl. Said I love the idea of having an accountability partner.
That's my sis. What's up, Dr. Daniel? Hey, Ryan.
Commentary said I'm still in that. I think that's when you were talking about the sound bath. Dr. Hill, isn't that another phrase? Like I know that, but isn't it called something? We call it something else.
Yes, I mean it's sound therapy. You use a sound bowl.
I think the bath threw me off. I was like, wait a minute, what's that? He was talking. I'm like, oh, I do that. Yes, Blake was my assistant principal. Relationships are key. Relationships are like so important.
Absolutely.
I just Dr. Hill. I keep saying Dr. Hill. Dr. Blake's email address. So if you have any questions for him, he would be a great mentor. He's definitely genuine about helping. He does a million things. He also have like balloon businesses and selling. Like he only told y'all like a quarter. Like he's like being really humble And I don't understand how he find time to he made it to my baby shower in Brooklyn and this in New York, and he would get back. Like, I thought I was bad. Dr. Hill, when I tell you he had me beat by times 10, like, you know how I am.
Yes, yes.
Maybe it's a badge thing because we 10 days apart. So we outrule you on this call. We're Sagittarius, Aries,
Okay.
but
I
you
love
know,
y'all. I love y'all, so I can dig it. I'm cool with
we
it.
know we love you too, boo. But Dr. Blake, not only because I know you on a personal level, and I'm gonna be honest with you, Dr. Hill actually suggested you. I'm gonna throw myself under the bus.
Yes.
Hill actually said, I promise. So I don't even want you to think it was like, oh, you're like one of my best friends. We get you. Like, I can show you the message. Dr. Hill, I was like, yo, what about Blake? We need to talk about him. And I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. So, like, that goes to show you.
Yes.
No, I wasn't even thinking about education. I was thinking all deep and stuff. And that goes to show you, Blake, like and y'all never even actually met. I don't even think I ever had a phone conversation. It's like we know you guys know of each other, but that just goes to show you the work that you're doing out
here. Absolutely.
Yeah, so we like really,
Thank you.
really are grateful and appreciative of all that you've done doing, and I'm excited to see what you're gonna do in the future.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, look, thank y'all for this opportunity, man. I'm gonna drop one last jewel out here for all my black male educators, right? Jay, our favorite rapper is Jay-Z, right? You from New York, right? Like, you know, so this verse off this verse called "A Dream" by Jay-Z and Biggie, right? And it goes like this: I had a dream, I said, of jealousy, I said. I had the whole industry mad at me, I said. The B, I said, hold, remind yourself, no one built like you. You designed yourself. I agree, I said, my one-of-a-kind self getting stoned every day like Jesus did. I say that like for my black men, there's nobody else like you out here in the world. Like, there's nobody that's built like you. You have the tools and the resources to design yourself. So continue to design yourself to be an influencer in the spaces that you occupy and just be excellent in everything that you do.
Absolutely.
Yes. That's why we have you here tonight, Dr. Blake. Absolutely.
Way to close it out. Oh, wait. And we can't forget to mention our merch. Sorry.
Yes.
Therapy.
Tea and Therapy. Hoodie.
Yes. And so much more merch because we try to get extremely creative on how to spread mental health awareness. So we have sweatshirts and kids mental health matter too, and you know, all different slogans on our website, stepscounselingconsulting.com. We have mugs. We have quite a few things. We also have a book out on Amazon. Greeting cards. So we're trying to get out there so to spread mental health the best way possible. So everything is on our website. Blake, I love the way you closed that. Oh, thank you. We definitely need to go up.
And one last
look at my guy, babe. That's my guy.
She being shy, Jay.
Hi, baby.
Hi.
Hi, Auntie, baby.
And hey,
go ahead, Jay. She been on my leg the entire time and was scared to say hi.
She was. Daddy's girl. I love it. And one last thing before we close out, if you are interested in therapy, please email us at info@stepscounselingconsulting.com. We are always accepting new clients. So please definitely send us an email if you are interested in saying yes to counseling. Again, Dr. Blake, thank you so much for doing this for us. And
this
you guys
up on YouTube. Sorry, Dr. Hill. This will be up on YouTube. Yep. We don't get that. So follow our YouTube page, subscribe, Steps Counseling Consulting, if you want to share it, because Dr. Blake really shared some jewels. So
gems, yes.
Fellow educators, please subscribe to our YouTube page. It will be up in there within 24 hours. I'm sorry, Doctor. I want to say
no. We're soul sisters because I was just about to say that.
Oh.
So it was like you felt it. So it was good. We did that. That's how we flow.
Okay, I love you both. Everyone have a safe. And you being amazing, you guys.
Have a good one.